Good morning, 1 million Cubs. Okay, thank you for a few of you. We're going to get started here. We're going to have two presentations today, same format. They're going to do a 6-minute presentation. We'll have our expert panel ask some questions, and we'll open it up to the floor for you to ask questions. Do we have any first-timers in the house? Raise show of hands. We got a few. Thank you for being here. And if you have a second, please take out your phone and check into the 1 Million Cups app. You'll find more info about the presenters, be able to give them feedback on their presentation. I would like to introduce our expert panel. So if you'd please let us know who you are.
Hello. Okay. Good morning. I am Nilima Paraskar. I'm President and CEO for Snap IT Solutions. We are a technology solutions company working on, providing software solutions. We provide IT training so we can scale up and skill up our resources here in Kansas City so we can hire them and do consulting.
And I am Jordan Savan-Kara, and I am a technical evangelist for Microsoft, and my job is to win the hearts and minds of founders and developers in Kansas City. I would love to talk to you about your business, technology-wise, business-wise, whatever. Thanks.
Thank you for being here. So the organizers, we've got Kyle in the back. Everybody turn around and wave to Kyle. Tyler, Caitlin, Billy. And I'm John. So show of hands, who likes cold beer? Anybody like cold beer? We've got, okay, a couple of you. That's cool. Well, then you are in luck, because our next presenter is going to talk to you about cold beer. So please give a warm welcome for Colin with Draft Pack.
Oh, I got a mic. Yep, it's on. My bad. Well, good morning. My name is Colin Elwell. With Draft Pack. The last time I actually had a chance to present, there was a field trip, I think, here of like junior high school students. So this is probably a lot better and more appropriate audience. Then again, I'll get some customers out of that last group in a few years. So my name is Colin Elwell again. And I set out to solve a problem that I realized isn't going to change the world, but that problem was finding a better way to serve cold draft beer. So as far as status quo, if you've ever set up a keg for an event, you might have experienced that it can be a real pain to do. So kind of what's out there now is your traditional put a keg in an ugly trash barrel, dump a bunch of ice and use a cheap hand pump. Or a lot of people in the beverage industry use what's called like a jockey box or coil box or cold plate system that is bulky. It's a pain to use if you ask them. And so there had to be something better, and that's where the Draft Pack comes in. So the Draft Pack is basically an all-in-one device. It taps directly onto any standard size keg. So any of the kegs that you're going to get at the liquor store, with only a few exceptions, are going to be compatible with the Draft Pack. Basically, the Draft Pack, just to use it, you just twist it on the top of the keg. The beer is cooled because it flows through an ice-down coil inside. So essentially, you take the lid off, you dump in ice, and it also has a CO2 tank inside, which means that you don't have to pump the keg or anything like that. And I'll kind of show you, this is a little demo just showing how it cools down. So there's a 50-foot length of stainless steel tubing in there. And then in the middle of that's a CO2 tank and regulator. I'll show you too on this one, but just a little bit better view. The kegs have a specific type of connection, and so the coupler in that bottom left is actually what is built into the base of this, and the base then tightens down onto the top of the keg, which allows you to make sure it's stable kind of wherever it is. The picture on the right just kind of shows, a lot of these get used at nicer events, so it's able to hide the keg and kind of present a lot better. In the lid is instructions. It looks like a lot. It's basically, obviously, kind of step by step, and once you've set it up once, it's really easy to do. How I got here, basically, I had an idea about 3 years ago and just saw it all the way through. So this is kind of still really just me kind of grinding away. 2015, sketched out an idea, and Obviously, you can see went through some different iterations. We started selling them last year. Plenty of research, you get it. This is Draft Pack headquarters, which, just to kind of show you, I still build these at home. We've actually, grown quite a bit, but these are my helpers. I have a 3-month-old and a 3-year-old at home, and another job. So if I can do it, anybody can do it, because they are a handful. In 2017, we started selling the Draft Pack. Most of the sales so far have been to businesses, so bars, restaurants, event spaces, caterers, golf courses, some tailgate groups. We've had, quite a few to individuals, but a lot of them, again, have been to businesses. We actually got a feature in Craft Beer and Brewing Magazine last year, which was kind of a nice validation. And the other really important thing that we're starting to do is actually get it into local liquor stores for rent. So there's about 5 stores in Kansas City and 1 in Lawrence that now you can rent the Draft Pack. It's close, probably Gomer's Midtown here. This is on the website. You can see there's a map basically showing kind of where it's available. All I see is a lot of empty space, so that's my goal, is to really kind of expand. I have 1 store now in Tulsa that is renting them out, but there's a good handful of stores here in the Kansas City area that now, if you wanted to have a better piece of equipment when you get a keg, you can actually pay a premium price. So you can pay $45 that you wouldn't have to pay if you just wanted a cheap hand pump, but you have a lot better experience. As far as kind of where I'm going, I've got a lot of work ahead of me and really trying to get the word out. So we've had a lot of success, a lot of good feedback in Kansas City. It's just now making more people aware of it. Obviously, getting out of my house with the production would be a nice step at some point, but we are also trying to grow the rental part of the business. So if anybody knows any avenues, for additional liquor stores that would want to have it available, or, even places that would like to have it for retail, that would always be a good thing. And then events that use kegs. I mean, what we're finding is a lot of the events that use kegs aren't familiar with this, and so it's just a matter of kind of making them aware of it. And I'm always happy to offer it, to have somebody try it out. And usually, lucky for me, that ends up being a sale. So one of the other things I'll kind of show that I haven't really put on the market yet is a feature. Well, while I'm setting this up, here's the CO2 tank. You can kind of see inside. But let me show you guys one future feature of the Draft Pack that is, right? It can play music. And it can play music pretty well, so. So you can put this on the keg. You don't have to play Michael Bublé, obviously, but you can stream the game to it. So that is just, I'll show you here. So that's actually just in the lid here. So I'm addicted to creating things, so it's either a blessing or a curse. But I appreciate the opportunity to be up here, and like I said, if you guys have any advice for me, I am new at a lot of this and happy to get feedback. So thank you very much.
All right, we're going to open it up to our expert panelists.
Well, first of all, that was really wonderful. I loved how you went from the very beginning describing the problem all the way through. As one of the few people here who doesn't drink beer, I totally understand and appreciate the problem, which is really nice, because some pitchers get up there and I'm like, I don't know what your problem is. I love your product, but I don't understand. So love it. Next, I want to ask you a few numbers questions. How many have you sold so far? How much does it take to make one? And what are you selling them for? And what are you renting them for?
So I sold about 50 of them last year and probably about 5 of them so far this year. I'm only in like the Kansas City, Lawrence area, so it's cold. In winter, there's not a ton of demand for it. But as far as sale, I sell it for about $350. So that's probably why more of the sales have been to businesses. I mean, it's not kind of it's not a $99 product that's kind of an easier purchase for a lot of people. But renting, they are usually about $45, kind of, that you wouldn't have to, basically $45 at the liquor store generally. That is I still own the ones in the liquor store, so there's a profit sharing with the store, and that's kind of the model that I'm going to try and keep going with. Price to build these, like labor's free at this point, but it is coming down. I'm still around $200, so.
And then my next question, obviously you have a lot of different avenues to pursue here, but what do you see being kind of the one you're really going to focus on in 2018?
Sure. Yeah, that's kind of it's a good thing to have all these different, types of customers. It's just, it makes it hard because it's like trying to figure out what the best one to go after is. So as far as 2018, I think probably as much as anything, we'll try and continue building the rental market, try and replicate it in another city as well. And then most of the work I'm doing is more trying to target the breweries and those people in that industry that have the events that they do kind of outside their store, their basically restaurant or bar, because there's a lot of the craft beer type events that this really does well at. So
Yeah, and my final question, not that this is a long-term plan or idea for what I'm about to say, but have you considered doing pop-up events or pop-up showcases at tailgating events where you could do a one-time rental for that event just to get your brand out there? Again, not a long-term plan, but as a thing to grow your brand and maybe network with people that are in the appropriate industry.
I haven't done enough of that. And that's something, I think a lot of people kind of definitely have good advice when it comes to like getting at, especially tailgating and those types of events. I think I just was too slow last year to kind of be ready to capitalize on some of the sporting stuff. Hopefully this year, though, definitely. And I think that's a great point. It's just getting out there and getting in front of people that aren't aware of it. So those types of pop-up things would be good. And I know you said you don't drink beer. One of the things I didn't say is this can be compatible. I've got some that are compatible for wine, coffee, other types of beverages that people are serving through kegs. So.
All right. Well, great job on the
Thanks.
presentation. Draft Pack. So I like beer, and we have a kegerator at home, and I wish we knew about this before we've spent quite a lot of money.
Yeah.
But it's definitely a cool partner with a kegerator as well, where, when you have a pack like that, you need to go through it maybe 3 or 4 weeks and done, right? So if you wanted to go on mobile, go in different places, it's a great way to take it out. So my question to you is, looks like your biggest challenge right now is marketing it, right? With the latest cool feature that you added, I think, have you considered a tagline for Draft Pack?
I probably put one up somewhere, but I don't have anything that's basically kind of I've latched onto. So
It's almost like having a companion
yeah.
with the beer and music.
Yeah.
And so another aspect is, I think you're going into brewery, which is great, but also think about organizations that are like corporate style events who are purchasing beer bottles instead of having an option this way. So if you change industry and find a partner there, then you may have a little more success in that area as well. The question I had for you is, what's your ideal place for you to be in the next 5 years? What is the best thing that can ever happen to Draft Pack?
I think that it's going to be really telling, like when I try and kind of expand the rental kind of program that we've got developed, because it's going to be a lot of work, and it's going to really rely on me finding maybe some really good people in other places to help oversee those areas. And so if that goes well, I think that we've got a really scalable kind of idea that essentially translates anywhere. I mean, beer is popular everywhere, which is a really nice thing for me. And there's liquor stores everywhere, and they all sell the ones that sell kegs are everywhere too. So it's essentially, in 5 years, I mean, my hope is that I have kind of a business that is really easy to continue expanding. So
The rental, definitely.
the rental stuff, I mean, that's what I'm working on a lot right now.
Okay,
So
very good. Congratulations and good luck.
thank you.
All right, we are going to open it up to audience questions. I have one here on your right to begin with.
Hi, nice presentation. I actually was able to test it out when you were down at the grid a year or so
Oh,
ago,
good.
and
All right.
it does work. I can say that. Curious if you've talked to caterers in town or people that do wedding venues. There's actually a whole group of wedding planners in town. I can't think what they're called, but if you Google them. But I would think caterers might have an interest in buying them actually, and something that's probably a little bit easier to deal with than kegs.
Yeah, and I haven't connected kind of with like any of the industry groups. Like the wedding group would be really good, but as far as I've sold, I'd say 5 of them to caterers in Lawrence and Kansas City, and I've definitely started approaching them, trying to find the ones that actually do alcohol, and make sure that I at least try and target the right people. But it has been really popular because essentially they are hopefully starting to at least see it and be familiar with it, and it saves them a lot of time because a lot of the caterers have chosen not to do kegs or even make them available because it's such a pain for them to be able to actually set them up. And so this is kind of maybe hopefully bringing that ability back to them. So
Question in the center.
oh yeah.
So I participated in the Kansas City Home Show this weekend, and to generate traffic on Friday night, they did a local brewing company beer tasting. And we had issues with our keg because it was the old pump system, right?
Yeah.
And so Marketplace is the one that puts that on at Bartle Hall. So they're probably the largest one in Kansas City that do that quite a bit. So I think the Marketplace, and I could connect with you after this and try to get you some contact information for the Marketplace, because there was 8 kegs there that they could have used one for each and every one of those because they waste a lot of beer trying to regulate how much foam comes out, what the pressure is. I think you really got to tag that when you're talking to these people and you're selling, because it does. If it's going to regulate that pressure, that's going to be big. Second is that we had even like Crane Brewing Company, which is a small brewing company that brought in a keg that's here in Raytown. You've got the brewing companies. Do you have the ability to put their logo on the front of that and maybe go talk? I mean, there's so many local brewing companies, not just the big one, to go and say, hey, you know what? You have the opportunity every time they do something with the Marketplace or these other events. So I'd probably look into not only logoing, but Marketplace plus the local breweries.
Oh, thank you. That's a good point. Yeah, I left as far as the ability to add logos, it's definitely, there's a lot of real estate there, and that's kind of the whole point, was that it's something that we can add. I don't have any licensing ability with any of the sports stuff at this point, but I mean, that's in theory something that could also be added. And hopefully some of the breweries, there's a craft brew event 2 weeks ago in Lawrence that I had 4 of these used. And to your point about having, the hand pump and stuff there, they had a jockey box type system, one of the breweries in Kansas City, that didn't work. And so luckily I had 2 extra in the car, and so they ended up using these. And that's just, it just goes to show how finicky a lot of that existing equipment is. And this is as easy as basically you just set the pressure to a specific, it's the same for every keg basically, and it works. So, yeah.
Question here in the center.
Hey, great presentation.
you.
I tell you what, I wish Sky Mall hadn't closed
Right?
because I feel like this would be perfect for it. I wanted to ask you, do you have patents on this? And, just from the price point, that kind of high-level gifting for men, it doesn't seem unreasonable to spend something like that. So like the Hammacher Schlimmers or the Sharper Image, like opportunities there.
Yeah. Well, it's because it always surprises me. Ace Hardware has Yeti coolers for $400, and I'm like, somebody's buying that. So Sky Mall would have been perfect. But what was the first part of your question? Oh, the patent. I have a utility patent basically application filed, so nothing issued. Trademark on all, the name and everything is issued, but as far as patent, we'll see what ends up happening. So.
We've got a question in the center when he gets his mic on.
I think, okay, can you hear me? Really cool design, really slick that it sits on top of the keg like that. I homebrewed for about 5 years. I've served at weddings and different festivals. You're right, jockey boxes break all the time. Kegs are really janky to deal with if there's a pump. So bravo on the design. Have you targeted the homebrew community at all? If you want anybody to be an evangelist for this kind of thing, like those guys like don't shut up about like
Sure.
anything they're doing. So if there's a way to connect that to like a corny keg instead of just a Sankey keg, that could be a real big deal for you.
You're right. So I've made them. If you're not familiar, the home brewers a lot of times use like they're basically old soda kegs. They have a totally different connection on top. I mean, they're still pressurized and basically about the size of a 6-barrel, but they have a different connection, and it makes it hard for, well, it makes it impossible for this as it is to just tap on. Because they have, 2 basically connections, and a lot of times they have a rounded top. So I've made one that essentially will work with a corny keg. It just ends up being more like a jockey box because you have to have hoses run over to it, and so it kind of defeats the simplicity of it. But I mean, it's possible. A lot of those guys, they would still rather build their own anyway, even if they, yeah. But
Question in the front.
So what's the competitive landscape like once you get past the 2 things you did have pictured that you say don't sell well? Surely someone else has come up with a similar idea?
There is nothing, and I say this based on having it in the market for a year, not seeing any duplicates, not seeing anything prior to. There are products that try and improve on what those 2 systems I showed were, but there wasn't anything out there that had the ability to literally tap on the keg for one, and be that easy. So there are products that are an improvement from maybe the hand pump because they'll use CO2 gas, but some of those don't have any cooling mechanism. And I mean, so then you're still icing the whole keg down the whole time. There really isn't anything like this that taps right on the keg, because the coupler, that mechanism that taps into the keg, I mean, the product I use, I didn't custom machine or anything like that. It came on the market about the same time that I created this.
Have you considered selling this online? Because it seems like your biggest problem right now is human capital.
Mm-hmm. That's really the only, well, actually I have sold some online. I don't have any retail outlets, so most of the sales have literally been from me driving around, showing people, and then having them buy it. People don't know to search for it, and so and I realize with marketing that's a big, that's the hurdle you have to overcome, is that people even know that it's out there to look for it. My hope is that online is going to become a lot better sales channel for me, because there's cheaper ways to do it and reach a lot more people. So while I haven't had a lot of success online selling them, it is available through our website, and that's kind of what I hope to expand. So.
Question here in the back center.
Have you thought about a distributor?
The beer distributors?
No, selling to someone who sells to beer in liquor stores.
Sure, so the liquor distributor, like this.
But no, someone who would sell things that would be used, but would buy at a liquor store. Not necessarily liquor company, but someone who's selling other things that would be used in there, the kegs or whatever,
Sure.
So that instead of you doing all the selling, you've got someone who's looking at nationwide.
Sure, those are the connections I hope to make.
Okay.
Yeah.
Second thing, have you looked at any association meetings where you have there must be some national association for beer and wine where
Sure.
they go to once a year, where there's a marketplace where people have booths, and you can have a booth selling.
There's some awesome ones. I can't afford it yet. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I'll be there. It's some of those, if you want to go to the, you know, the premier ones, I mean, you're talking probably $10,000 just for that 2 days. And hopefully in the next couple of years, that's something that I can be. I mean, there's some big expos, and that's kind of where everything is. So that's the hope, but definitely starting smaller, because there are a lot of the festivals and things that I'm starting to have a presence at too. So.
Awesome. Last question. What can we do as a community to help you?
Well, I've kind of mentioned those connections. If somebody knows, you know, somebody that they, you know, is here or that they can put me in touch with, there's a lot that I'm still learning, and definitely there's people that kind of know the right people. So that would be the perfect thing.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Give them a round of applause, guys. All right, my favorite time, Mug Club. Raise your hand if you've been here 10 times or more. Okay, now keep your hand up if you do not have a mug.
Right behind you.
Oh,
Please tell us your name and why you come to 1 Million Cups.
My name is Jessica, and I start my Wednesdays off here on and off for about 2 years. I'm not in business, but I talk to people all day, every day. So I like to learn and share and support things in Kansas City.
Thank you.
awesome. Thank you for coming. We do have a couple live announcements. First, I've got Jordan with the live announcement.
Hi guys, again, my name is Jordan Savan-Kara, and I'm a technical evangelist for Microsoft. And I wanted to come here today and actually get on stage and talk to you, because I have the ability to help out some companies in the Kansas City area, and I just wanted to get the message out there and make these connections to see if maybe one of you guys is the person I can help. I have a technical background, like I said earlier, and specifically in the cloud space is where we are looking to partner with startups. We're looking for companies that maybe have a revenue stream, or their seed funding or Series A, usually a little more advanced than what we talk about here today, but usually entrepreneurs know more entrepreneurs. So if you guys know anyone or are starting a company that is at that funding stage and is looking for some information about the cloud platform or any of the more elaborate Microsoft services like our AI, machine learning, our GPUs, any of that, I would love, 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 love to talk to you, because we do have some sponsorship offers out there specifically for the Kansas City region. So I am your person to talk to. So I would love to make those connections. And then my final ask is I need a photo, because my manager wants one for the newsletter. So.
Photo. Or should we turn around and have everybody in the audience?
Yeah, that's what we're doing a
All right.
selfie. I'm sorry.
All right, here we go.
All right. Look excited, everyone. Lovely, delightful. Thank you.
Awesome.
Featured in our startup newsletter.
Awesome. Thank you. Up next, I have David with a quick announcement.
Good morning, David Bilbrey, and there is a national program coming up. It's put on by the Presidency Institute. It's called Transforming Capitalism Lab, and so it is a program. We're going to have monthly live streams and then local place-based hubs. So I'm going to host the Kansas City place-based hub to look at how we create social and economic change in the world. So this is going to be tied in with people all over the world, and I've got flyers in the back, and also if you just go to ecothinkit.com, ECOTHINKIT.com, there's a whole page, and you can register for the event, and I have the location will probably be here, but I'm waiting on approval. So the first meeting will be on Wednesday, April 18th. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Guys, please help me welcome to the stage City Smart. Give him a big round of applause.
Testing, testing. Thank you guys so much for your time today. I know everybody's busy, really appreciate it. Special thanks also to 1 Million Cubs KC for providing an amazing platform. Really appreciate it as well. I'm going to start this off with a quick poll. By show of hands, how many people in the audience are married? Wow, all right, great. How many people in the audience have kids? Great. How many people have moved their family to 3 cities in the last 2 years? I knew I was going to find a couple people. Thank you guys for making me not feel so bad. You know the pain. You know the pain. Thank you. That's how this story started. You got to get the beard going, though. That's how the story started. Company I was working with had me move from Atlanta to Nashville and to Kansas City. And each market that we moved to, I hit the ground running, and I realized, man, it's really difficult to really get connected to the community. So we started searching for local events, and there were about 50,000 sites for that. We started searching for local businesses. There were 1 million sites for that. And we realized that a lot of businesses that looked pretty cool, we couldn't find them online. You know, everything was maintained and managed by Google. And then it dawned on me, well, wait a minute. If I'm having this difficult of a time getting connected to the community, then it must be just as difficult for the businesses looking for us as well. So that kind of led us to CitySmart and our solution. We solved some major problems. There are millions of businesses in the US every single day that struggle with trying to find affordable ways to advertise. And it's getting difficult. When Google and Yahoo came out, you know, a lot of other mediums got hit. When social media came out, a lot of other mediums got hit. And businesses have been pretty much taking the bad end of that from the very beginning. Advertising has become increasingly expensive for small businesses. You can think of that yourself. There's a lot of small businesses here, and you guys understand that fully. Facebook and other marketing outlets have become way too saturated for businesses. If you do a lot of business via social media, I feel your pain. We all know what's going on right now. Facebook is not having a good year. And lastly, like I said before, there just are not very many affordable options. We joke at the Yellow Pages, but at least back then there was a resource where everybody in the community had access to just about every business. Good luck today finding a resource in your specific city that will show you everybody that exists. Our core is to try to find that one small dentist, that one chiropractor who offers amazing service, but who doesn't have a website, who doesn't have the funds to hire a social media manager, who has no clue what SEO is. Why not connect the community with those people? So that leads to our solution, a software as a service mobile application for each specific city. So we're city focused. We want to make it powered by the community, a community aspect. So we allow consumers to download the applications for free, to connect to their city through local events, and then also to explore. I was just mentioning to someone earlier, I heard about a new Ethiopian place in Overland Park that I'd love to go to, have never heard of it. They don't advertise, I don't see their billboards, I don't see their TV commercials, but through passing word of mouth, I happened to hear about it after years of being here. So for consumers, the benefit is local business directory, local weather updates, local news, important numbers, because you never know when you need animal control, right? Local events, traffic, and more specific to their area. And the way we benefit businesses is by providing them a very robust profile that they can utilize to help engage existing customers and also prospective customers. So a lot of this you'll see is very similar to Facebook, because we think Facebook has definitely figured a lot of things out. They made $12 billion just from ads on Facebook last year. We want to really take away and remove the mechanism for businesses to truly reach their customers. So a lot of these images and profiles or features you'll see on their profiles. Our big key is push notifications. As we all know, Facebook makes it pretty difficult for businesses to reach their audience. Well, we remove the algorithm. If you earn your audience on our platform, we allow you to push notifications to your audience once per day. So here's some applicable uses. A lot of people in here, I'm pretty sure, love coffee. If your local coffee shop were to push your notification right now that says, for the next 4 hours, we're offering free cups of coffee, some of you might get up and walk out. I get it. People like coffee like that. Imagine from a safety aspect, 2018, cities communicate with constituents right now primarily via what platform? Facebook. If there was a water main break, a down power line, wouldn't it be pretty cool if cities had the ability to push notifications to constituents? We partner with municipalities that way. And also another applicable use would be schools. Safety is a hot topic right now for obvious reasons. My daughter is in elementary school down in Overland Park, And I want to be connected to that school as much as possible. We also, through this platform, provide schools the ability to keep parents up to date on basketball games, school closings, and other things that parents need to know as well. All that's pass-through features from the platform. Our market size, pretty large. There's 28 million small businesses in the U.S. That in 2018 will spend about $134 billion on advertising. 61.4 billion of that will be spent specifically on digital advertising. And we feel that we have a good chance at getting some of that market share. Market validation, Facebook and Google both have 2 million and 4 million advertisers respectively. Facebook brought in right under $13 billion specifically on their platform, and Google is a number I can't read. It's just a lot of zeros. So we know businesses are actively looking for ways to market and advertise. Thank you all so much for your time. And I forgot a slide. How we generate revenue. Really quickly, we license our platform to chambers of commerce, business associations, municipalities, who then promote the platform to their existing member businesses and also their non-member businesses. We charge the businesses a monthly subscription fee, and we retain 30%, and then we pay the licensee 70%. So that is CitySmart. Thank you for your time.
Okay. Wonderfully sharp presentation. Very well done. A few questions, because it's my background. What's your tech stack look like right now? Where are you hosting all this data? What's your app written in, and what's your user base look like right now?
I knew I was going to get that question. So we actually have a cloud platform that we currently use that I won't name because I like what you talked about. Our back end is all done through Django primarily. And, you know, I started this process in October of 2017 and believe in building fast and lean. So we built our MVP, so right now we're in beta. So primarily Django and Python.
Okay, cool. And then what cities do you have engaged right now?
So we have 5 cities that have already signed on as licensees, 2 in Texas, 2 in Georgia, and we're working on finalizing 1 in the Kansas area. So right now, my big focus is just to get the initial 5, pressure test our process, refine it, update it, and then we're going to go for a pretty big push.
Okay, and then obviously this platform is dependent on businesses engaging and paying revenue. What does your marketing strategy look like for engaging the businesses as well as the users? And how much of that pressure are you putting on the cities to then bring that in?
Got it. So the big part of this platform and why we feel it could be effective is that chambers of commerce are very misunderstood. You know, their job in each community is to help grow the business economy, and they're always looking for ways to generate revenue. Well, chambers have access to a lot of businesses. So we've recognized that if we provide chambers a B2C model to join with their B2B model, that it gives them more added value. So we rely on our chamber partners to push the platform to their existing members and then make the Chamber of Commerce the go-to person for other businesses that want to join. And on the flip side, to grow our app and to get downloads, we then partner with the cities by providing them a free profile. They then promote the application to their constituents, to download our apps to get city updates. We do the same thing with schools, and businesses have already proven from platforms like Facebook and Foursquare that they know how to get their physical audience onto a digital platform. Our goal is working through the chambers to educate these businesses to see the benefits that we offer compared to what they currently have.
Okay, good job on the presentation.
Thank you.
And you know that concept is already there. You're trying to penetrate the market by being centric to a particular city and only exposing that information. So I would say most of this is data analytics. And you are providing data to either city or to businesses and providing free service for individuals to log in and get whatever they need. I know from being in the loyalty business before, we've created an app on the loyalty business for Kansas City market. There were other apps in the market that had businesses on their mobile app, and they tried to figure out a way to give benefits to a loyal customer, right? So businesses say that, okay, John came into the business 10 times, so I'm going to give you free coffee, right? do you have any plans of penetrating the loyalty business as well? That's one question. And the second question is, how are you different? Is it only a marketing approach that you're different, or how is the vision on the app? I understand it's an MVP app, but what is the vision on the app that would mitigate the risk that previous app owners had to face?
Got it. Repeat the first question for me again. So
The
sorry.
first question is, I believe, loyalty.
That's it.
How are you going to take in the loyalty part of it? Are you going to use that as well?
Yeah, we do have that plan. We have a lot of things that we can do and would like to do. Right now in our MVP, we kind of have the features set as is, but we've definitely received a lot of feedback from businesses to include loyalty programs. There's a lot of additional features in the app that allow users to connect with users, but the big push is going to be businesses being able to push those notifications and even track the notifications. Another point that you mentioned, you touched on the data earlier as well. We have a lot of data that we're going to be able to use because a lot of these, the apps nowadays are all GPS based, and we also have information from our users that
Beacons
we
and,
yeah, exactly, we utilize to help build the area as well.
All right.
Sorry, one more question. You mentioned you're going to target businesses that maybe don't have a web presence, but it's not incredibly difficult to go like set up a Yelp page or anything. What's your strategy, I guess, for if you're going to engage someone on the technology side, a business that is wary of it? Why would they choose to go through this process versus taking the 5 minutes to go set up a Yelp page?
Got it. And I'm going to answer your other question as well. I missed that one. To us, it's all about community. Community is the difference. If you ask people nationwide their favorite place, the more hyper-local it gets, the better. You know, I remember when I first moved to the KCMO area, I was on the plane with a lady, and I asked her where she lived, and she told me Hallbrook. I had no clue where that was. But she had so much pride about her subdivision in a city, in a metro area, in a state, in the U.S. So we feel that the community approach, people will have a lot of pride and engagement because it's theirs. They have ownership. If an APB were to come out on our phones right now for a child, and we mentioned this earlier, like in Liberty, we would all be concerned. If a notification came on your phone from a city-focused app about a kid that was missing in your area, I'm going out the door looking for the child myself. So we feel that local engagement is really what helps us stand out and also is what's going to help us scale. Because small businesses that utilize those other platforms is great. You can set up those platforms for free, but how do you promote those platforms? Our platform is all hyper-local, which means that if we were to get 5,000 people in a hyper-local market to download our platform and the app, we win.
All right, we're going to open. Oh, do you have another question?
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think with Groupons and them taking about 75% of the rate, that's the market as well, that you can give more of the businesses and give the value to back to them as well.
All right, so we are going to open up audience questions. So if you have a question, raise your hand. We'll do our best to get around to you.
Well, sorry, we have a question here in the front. Sorry, Nicole.
Hey, Don, great product. It looks like you've fully vetted this thing. How long have you been doing it?
So I've been tinkering with the idea for years now, and I actually started moving on it October 2017. So we launched our first city towards the end of February. So we're looking to get this thing rolling.
And the other question I had is, what is the event component? You mentioned that. How does that work into?
Yeah, so what we do, every business that has a profile on the platform, we give them the ability to post events for free. So we promote a lot of local event planners and event venues to also have profiles. Everybody can have a profile. And our hope is that businesses and these event venues will utilize our platform to post everything. We want everything in a city to be available on the app, and then we give consumers the ability to search for the event by category as well.
Question in the center.
Great presentation.
Thank you.
So you're in 5 cities right now, you said?
Correct.
Out of curiosity, it seems like you've got a lot of kind of layers between yourself and the end user. It's almost like B to B to B to B to C or something like that. So it seems like as soon as you kind of create that contract with the Chamber of Commerce, that a lot of it's kind of out of your hands. Have you run into roadblocks about the cool factor? Because it seems like, I mean, what you're building is cool, but as soon as it gets white labeled as X Chamber of Commerce, do people just kind of glaze over and just kind of lose interest, or how have you gotten over that hump?
Kind of, sort of, and you're right, we definitely have a lot of layers. The one thing we do to begin with is that we don't name the apps after the chamber. The chamber are just licensees. So we found a cool name for the area, like the City Guide or the City app, and we design a logo for them to kind of give the city its own brand through the app. But like any other platform, the user, the licensee is really what makes it pop. When Facebook first started, there were a lot of businesses that were early adopters, and they figured it out, but there's a whole lot of businesses that don't. So if you want to see what I'm talking about, go to Pinterest and look up an account for a chiropractor. It won't be pretty, you know, but there's a lot of people that try to utilize these platforms, they don't know how to. So a big roadblock that we're working through now is how do we make the platform so simple for the chambers to promote to members, and then also how do we learn from other businesses before us, like Foursquare, like Facebook, like Groupon, to get businesses engaged to promote it to their consumers. The better job we do with that, the more adoption we'll have.
A question in the back.
Hi, that was a really great presentation. I have a question from the user perspective. So I live and work in Lee Summit, so I want to know everything about Lee Summit, but I don't want to be in suburbia hell forever, so I want to know about Kansas City events. My sister lives in Columbia, so I want to know if there's a school shooting in Columbia. So from the user perspective, if I can, like, can I cherry pick? Like, I don't care if there's a water main break in Kansas City, because I don't live there, but I kind of want to know if there's a cool event going on tonight, so I don't, you know, eat Cheetos in my apartment all night by myself. So, you know, how can you cherry pick what you want to see, but not make it so overwhelming that you're just scrolling and scrolling and scrolling like we do Facebook?
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, that is something that we're addressing. So we have a couple of different phases that we'd like to go through first. First, we want to work with each individual city. And then once we have a consensus of apps in a specific area, we then want to push out an update for users to choose the city they want. And once we reach a larger volume of apps, then we can then open it up to the entire United States. That's the benefit of having apps update the way they do nowadays. Most people choose the auto update feature. We'll push it out, and next thing you know, you'll have cities that you can choose from every state. So that is something that we plan on working on as well.
Question on your right.
All right, I live in like a local community, it's a lot of small businesses, and most of my mom and pops, we don't know anything about Chamber of Commerce. Most of the people I know, they won't use Chamber of Commerce because they can't afford the fees. So you think about aiming for a local organization like Trucewood, 63rd Street, Prospect, Home Association, places like that.
That's a great question, and I'm so glad you just mentioned that. That's also kind of a pass-through benefit of the app. We want chambers to work in little communities like that. That's the goal. Chambers have a ton of resources that they could offer an area if they had more revenue generated to then use for existing expenses. So we would love to work with communities like that, and our goal with the chambers to utilize our platform to really open up their doors to the community. Most chambers would love to work with more consumers, would love to work with different business industries, but they just haven't had a match. We hope and feel that our platform provides them that added value.
Question in the back and the center.
Hi, thank you for your presentation. I just had a quick question from the user perspective. So if I want to use your app to look up local businesses, do I need to create a profile and give out my email, or is it like the Yellow Pages, I can just open it up and immediately search?
Yeah, so users have two ways to use our application. One is a guest profile where you can search anything that you want. But we will need you to set up a profile if you want to do things like leave reviews on businesses and also follow businesses or view other user profiles.
Question in the center.
Man, you are very polished, very, very good. And George Boy as well. So my question is, you mentioned MVP, the minimally viable product. Pushing out an app like that and acquiring customers, it seems very valuable to go to places like this and get feedback on what features might need to go in, because with an app, you may get one shot. And if I download an app and it starts pinging me with all these notifications, it's off my phone, gone. Are you planning on doing more of these focus groups before you try to really push out to those 5 cities and acquire customers?
Yes, definitely. One thing we've noticed is that we're not necessarily reinventing the wheel. We're taking it to a hyper-local platform and putting the control in the consumer's hands and also the small business's hands. If you have a business that you follow or like on Facebook and you don't like their post, what do? You unfollow them. If Facebook sends you too many notifications, what do? You turn off notifications. We offer the same ability.
Question in the back.
Back. Just kidding. Question in the back.
First, I have a quick heads up. So the city of Kansas City, Missouri, all the way in the back. Hello. The city of Kansas City, Missouri is starting up their innovation partnership program again. Their applications open up on Monday, so that's an opportunity for tech entrepreneurs like yourself to work directly with the city, so keep an eye out for that. And then my question is, what does success look like for you? What do you really want out of this?
I really want every single city in the country to be its own bubble. Some of you have heard me talk about, I really feel like I'm the slumdog millionaire of my product. Every step of the way has led me to learn something. I grew up in a small town, got a lot of small town values, moved to the big city of Atlanta, started an ad agency, was a media buyer, started a magazine, sold ads, was a consumer, started some businesses with my wife, so I got those pain points as well. But what I learned most was when I moved to a city in Tennessee called Franklin, completely unaffected by the economic downturn. And I realized the reason why was because every single consumer continued to spend money in the same businesses. The realtor went to the same restaurant, the restaurateur bought cars from the same car dealer, the car dealer went to the same realtor. So their market was completely unaffected. And I'd love for every single city in the country to be its own bubble, where consumers that are right around the corner from amazing businesses to have the ability to find those businesses without a large price tag stopping that local dentist from competing with the big dental conglomerate. We charge $50 to $100 a month for our platform, and there's no extra money that a larger business can pay us to outbid or outcompete another smaller company.
Question in the front.
So how's it going for the revenue that you may have projected for your business? You mentioned you were in a few cities. I'm not sure you told us which ones. And what do you think this business will look like by the end of this year?
Thank you. Yeah, so we're testing about 1 billion different models. Software as a service is a very unique field. So in one of our chambers, we're testing the freemium model, where everybody's free for 3 months. And it's worked out well. We've had 800 businesses sign up within the first month and a half so far. And then in other markets, we're testing where chambers will be able to sign up for half off, and non-member businesses will pay the full rate. And it works out great because the average annual rate for most chambers for small businesses is right at about $400 to $500. So businesses actually save money to join the chamber and save half on our platform. As opposed to $1,200 per year, they pay $600 per year spread out over 12 months. So we're testing a lot of different markets right now. The one in which we are providing the half off to members is obviously making more money than the freemium model, but the freemium model has more businesses. So now we're sitting back and waiting to see how many of those 800 plus businesses will stay on board with us after 3 months. So it's really interesting, but the feedback has been great so far. Dallas, and then also we have one chamber that we're working with in Atlanta that have officially launched.
Before we ask our last question, I did want to say I love this idea. My dad is definitely one of those businesses that he doesn't have a Facebook. He doesn't even know what Facebook is at this point. So he is definitely your target customer, I guess, client. So great job. I can't wait to tell him all about it. But we do have one more question. It is, what can we as a community do to help you?
Didn't know that, but I prepared the slide just in case. We're focused on collaborative growth. Like every move we make with this company, we want it to have a wide effect. We want cities to partner with chambers, chambers to partner with businesses, businesses to partner with consumers. So any connections that you guys have to municipalities, to chambers, to small business groups, we love the connection. We literally want to sit down and just have a conversation with each of these entities to learn their pain points and find ways that we can build out more benefits in our platform for them. Thank you all so much for your time and feedback.
I want to take a moment to introduce you to our Goodwill ambassadors. We've got the caffeinators. Put your hands up, if you will. Joe, Orange, Neil, we got Matt in the back. These are guys and gals most of the time if they're here. They're entrepreneurs also. They're volunteering their time for you. That if you have any questions, kind of walk through the 1 Million Cups map. These are the people you want to talk to. You can talk to them before, during, or after a meeting. Just kind of reach out to them. All righty, and we thank you for coming. You've been a great audience. Please show up next week. Thank you.